Noel James, welcome
Hello.
to Loftcast with the Geniverse, the only loft cast, I believe, in Windmill Terrace in Swansea. Thank you for agreeing to do this. I shall come and take my seat now, and hopefully we'll be able to do some kind of a something.
Okay.
So I'm going to very delicately, as if I'm a kind of prowling panther in the jungle, prowl into my position, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to see me. So, no, thank you for agreeing to do Loft Cover the Geniverse.
That's okay.
You were very kindly introduced me to Alistair McGowan.
I did. I was very kindly introduced. I said, "This is Mr. McGowan." It was a very kindly introduction.
Kindly.
I did, yes, and you did a wonderful.
Well, I did okay,
Loftcast.
considering it was in the loft with no real good equipment, which I'm going to get some real good equipment in as the months, weeks unfold. But I wanted to thank you. You are, well, I think probably one of the best and well recognised in Swansea Village.
Oh, I don't know.
A long-standing comedian, writer, poet. Know quite a lot about the local history. I found out today from Noel that people from Llanelli are called Turks.
Turks, as they're known as Turks.
I didn't know that. So you see,
I think because they've eaten too much Turkish delight over the years.
I think that's the truth. And we only speak the truth on Lovecast of the Geniverse, except when we don't. So, as you know, like I did with Alistair, I've got some, I'd like to say, probing questions. But are they? I mean, we'll be the judge. It's
Sounds
so
painful.
hot in here. How are you? Are you comfy-ish?
I'm comfy-ish, thanks. I'm just concerned about your dog, who
Don't mention the dog. She's downstairs.
Calm down now.
She's not happy. We can't get her up here. I'd love to get her up here. She's very attractive.
But in terms of being well known, I don't think I am being well known, because I did a thing a few weeks ago, an interview on Radio Cymru, and they were just a Sunday morning. I don't know why they even wanted to talk to me, but they were asking me about my comedy and saying, "Oh, and then you did Britain's Got Talent, and now you're really well known." And I said to them, "Well, if you put me in the Grand Theatre in Swansea, it definitely wouldn't sell out." And they actually cut that bit from the interview. I think they wanted to keep it upbeat, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean...
Well, that's the thing. I'm not really famous, am I?
Well, I would say, I would think it's probably the nicest thing to do, because you're well known on, and clearly well respected. I know that Alistair McGowan, and we talked about Adam Bloom.
Yeah. I was mentioned in Adam Bloom's
mentioned
book.
In his book, and I met Adam, and he considers you one of the best comedians, and like I say, he mentioned you in your book. So,
yeah. Well, he's got a thing for the mind, you see. Yeah. He respects comedy that takes a lot of mental agility.
Yeah, which yours does.
Well, I think some of it does, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and also, not all of you have been lucky enough to be in Noel's car. I have, and there's a plethora of props.
There are?
Yes. A plethora of plethora, it's not
plops, because
a plethora of plops.
It's a drop-in centre.
It's a drop-in centre. But from my point of view, and I've seen you recently since I've been living in Swansea, and we met, which we'll talk about in a little while, but we met a long time ago. Yes. And it was only fairly few brief meetings, but in medical role play, which again, more of that in a bit. But it was only when we kind of reconnected that I went to see Noel again, doing stand-up, and I was amazed, not because I didn't doubt his talent, and I at that point had only just found out that he had done Britain's Got Talent, and I couldn't believe how funny he was. Not that I thought he wouldn't be funny, but when you see something, you think, bloody hell, this guy's really good, and really knows how to engage with the crowd, and can turn it so quickly, I believe. Over to you now.
Well, it's taken a long time of practice over the years. Every single gig I've done has contributed to me getting better. When I first started stand-up comedy, I didn't realize it, but I didn't really know how to interact or get the audience, get the audience's attention. I only knew how to deliver a script like an actor would, an amateur actor would. So when I started, the thing about stand-up comedy is when you go around these different pubs and clubs, sometimes you come across places which, you know, you didn't even know they were like that until you got on stage and you realise it's difficult.
Yeah.
And when you're starting out, you don't know what to do, you know. And but through doing lots of stuff like that, gradually you do learn how to handle these things.
Yeah.
But I do more and more in live gigs, interact with people. I ask people where they're from, or I say, what's your name? And it's a way of keeping the attention going.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I was thinking about it. A lot of people in comedy clubs or any live shows, they don't like to sit down the front because they're afraid of being picked on. So part of me is now thinking I will just cut that out entirely now. Even though I don't pick on people, I just talk to people. But they think it's picking because it's attention drawn to them. You know? But I mean, the Beatles, who are one of my, you know, heroes in terms of entertainment, they wrote songs that you could dance to, but towards the end of the 60s, people say they started writing songs you had to listen to, you know. In the same way, I'm now writing jokes that you can't laugh at them anymore.
That's very novel.
You have to listen to them.
You have to listen.
And not laugh at them, you see.
Which is a very groundbreaking in comedy. Comedy that doesn't make you laugh, but makes you think. You heard it here first. So with further ado, I don't know if that's what they say, but I'm going to ask you the Loft for the Geniverse questions. I ask you not to take too long. You know, it's not an exam.
Okay.
There's no wrong answers. And if there's any one question that you don't
want
to...
It's a bit like word association, then.
It's right. Questions and answers.
Do you know my friend, Rorschach? What's he like? Well, sometimes he's like butterflies. You
see, and right there.
Well, they say love is like a butterfly. As soon as you pin it down, it's dead.
Yeah. And again... And there's more dating tips from Noel James and myself later in the Loftcast.
Later in the Loftcast program, you will be seeing the weather from Phil.
So, are you ready? I've got to put my other glasses on, which I don't think are as groovy, but necessary. I'm going to do a swift transition here. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, nice. Cool. And they also go with your shirt. It's live television. This probably won't get aired, but who knows? So, if you had to wear animal ears... for a month. So you're going to wear them all the time, even in
Donkey.
bed? Oh, okay.
I think so. That's the first one that came to mind.
They're quite big, okay. And if you could go back in time in your own life...
Well, the thing is, if you have donkey ears, you can sort of, when you have a shower, you know, you can bend them down, they double as a shower curtain then, don't they, you know?
I think curtains are the stretching.
Also, I think donkeys are quite cute animals, very, almost human-like in their face, you know.
Well, there would be if you had donkey ears, then there would be a human.
That's why they call me Don Quixote, wouldn't it?
Hey. So, second question, keep it rapid. If you could go back in time in your own life to an age, for argument's sake, I've used an example of me going back to 36. And you would keep all the knowledge that you have now.
36 AD, yeah.
36 AD, yeah. After, you know, we won't talk about after. So if you could go back, so your own life.
Oh, you mean back in your age?
Yeah, but back in time, as in you could go back to an age, but keep all the knowledge that you have now. So like your argument, say, you know, you're, I don't know, around 50.
Yeah. Okay.
And you could go back to being 25 with all the knowledge. So you could go back to like 1980.
Yeah.
But you could keep all the knowledge. Yeah. Which age would you choose? You know, have you got a particular age you'd like to keep all the knowledge you've got now?
Yeah, I think...
what age?
When I was 14 or 15 or 16, something like that. 15 years
old.
Oh, so
teenager?
Yeah, I think so. Wow. Because I don't think I had a clue. I don't think my parents had a clue about what life is about. And I wish I'd had more of a clue.
Right, okay. If you could ask anyone out on a date, it doesn't have to be romantic. It might be just to get together for a meal and a chat. They have to be dead. Not obviously on the date, because that would be morbid.
Well, okay.
You know, I'd rather they weren't. You know, otherwise you can't appear on Loftcast. But if you could ask anyone out from history on a day out, like for an evening out, who would you go out with? It can be romantic if you like it to be. It can be both. You know.
Okay. I would probably ask somebody like...
somebody like or somebody...
Well, I'm just thinking, that's a tough one. Because automatically I'm thinking female, although...
Yeah, well, that's fine.
You know.
That's allowed.
But that could be my macho, you know, masculinity, just being arrogant.
Stop talking about your masculinity. Just answer the question.
I'm trying. I think I go out with somebody like possibly Mae West.
Yeah, she's a good... Yeah. She knew a few things, didn't she?
And she knew about comedy as well.
Yeah, she said, and can I do a quote? I've got to have to now. You kind of fed me that, haven't you? So Mae West, one of my favourite quotes from her, she said, 10 men at my door. Send one of them home, I'm tired. I love Mae. Right, okay, moving along. And she could certainly wear a corset. Is there something...
Maybe Diana Rigg as well.
Yeah, she's the opposite.
I'm not
she's
so much into the corset type of stuff. I'm also into, in terms of how somebody looked, I thought Diana Rigg was very cool back in the day. Like,
back in the Avengers.
The Avengers also.
Very sexy woman then, wasn't she?
Horror film with Vincent Price called Theatre of Blood. And she said that was her favourite film she ever made.
Oh, okay.
Which for a Shakespearean actress, you know, when you think about that, she's not being snobby because it's a horror film, you know. So.
And they were very popular. Anyway, I've just gone off topic, and that's another conversation for another day, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. So would you like everyone into the world, so what would you like everyone in the world to know that you think mainstream media is keeping from the public, or what you think that everyone should know?
Well, I think it's not so much a piece of information or knowledge, but it's just the mainstream media or media generally, not just mainstream necessarily, have this tendency, I mean, I'm talking social media as well, of shaming people.
Yeah.
People who say, like that example I discussed with you earlier about a joke that somebody had done,
which
referred to the Trump assassination attempt, where somebody made a joke in a show, Tenacious D, the group, Jack Black and his mate, what's his name, I can't remember his name, Glass, the guy. He made a joke about, you know, and you think, well, okay, it was a joke, it was in bad taste, but it was a joke. The guy's a comedian.
I'm going to say.
And he did it on the spot, and it's like, okay. Yeah. All right, apologise, but please, you know, don't force him. Don't force him out. His agency's kicked him out. Jack Black's left him behind. He split the group up. They stopped touring, all because he said something which, when I was a kid, I seem to remember comedians were saying things about politicians and
they've always done that,
quite close to the natural stuff.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, we didn't have social media in the same way as we do now, which I think, but there's this idea that, you know, everybody's going to jump on and shame that person and make them feel really, really bad. And it's like, hold on, comedy, jokes,
that's
you know.
The whole point of it.
Well, you're going to make mistakes. Obviously, you're going to offend some people because it's comedy. You know, I just think that was something that was circulated more, and I don't know why I don't know why it goes on really. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the modern. I think it is like a lot of the social media and the social platforms. It's a very quick way of, they call it trolling now, of just being nasty.
Well, there's trolling, there's witch hunting, but it's also just that idea of his agency has dropped him. You think, well, the establishment.
Well, it just shows how narrow-minded they are. I think when it all turns around, which I guess it will, I think Jack Black will probably be begging him to go back, but that's on him really. Right, moving on. We've got to crack on because of the time.
So much for black comedy.
So much for black comedy.
Yeah,
if a friendly, advanced in every way alien spaceship, think Star Trek, arrived and said, you can come with us and explore time and space, but you have to leave within the hour, would you go?
Yes.
Great. Okay, would you prefer to fly, and I mean fly in the sky and even into the deep depths of the universe, or would you prefer to swim deep underwater in the same kind of exploration, like deep? So in the sky, underwater.
Is there a land option?
There's no land option.
Well, if it's in a spaceship, I go in the sky then.
Well, no, you're flying. I mean, we've already covered the spaceship.
Oh, but this is the same
But this is you under your own wings.
Oh, I'll drown in the water, won't I?
No, you won't, because you've got gills. That's the point. You either, it's not like you're lined up. It's like wings or gills. And you, is it
That's
wings
like
or gills?
Boys or girls?
Wings or gills?
I think wings.
Wings, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you could choose,
I think I'd get too claustrophobic in underwater.
It's a vast space underwater, isn't it? It's very deep and meaningful, rather like yourself, rather like Noel himself. Okay, if you could choose and afford, I'm not saying you can't.
It's also shallow in places.
I'm trying so hard to get the next question. Do you see what I'm doing here? I'm trying. Both of us need work, clearly, without timing. If you could choose for the third time, what a lovely face, and afford, would you prefer to wear the best? Don't you dare spit that out. Don't you dare spit it out. I think you should have chosen gills.
I'm just waiting for the question.
If you could choose, if you could choose and afford, I'm not saying you can't afford. There's no, I don't. He could probably afford it. He's a very wealthy man. Just been entertaining people on a ship aboard. Well, I say a ship aboard on the sea as opposed to in the dry dock. Would you prefer to wear the best designer clothes, as in like Versace, Ferrucci, Prada?
Yeah.
I don't know if they're all Italian. Forgive me.
Yeah.
Or would you prefer to
Burberry?
Burberry. Would you prefer to wear the best designers, Jean Paul Gaultier, or bespoke tailoring?
Bespoke tailoring
Is the right answer. Thank you very much. That's 10 points. What colour is Friday?
Ooh, orange.
It's not, but good try. Good
Green?
try. No, it doesn't matter. It's actually very personal. For me, it's not about me, but I love orange, but orange isn't Friday for me.
Okay.
So here's a big question.
So that was a trick question.
It was a trick question. They're all trick questions. Creatively, and you're a creative man, I don't think anybody realises just how creative Noel is, because he's a writer, he's a poet, he's a deep thinker, he's a comedian, but trust me, there's more to this man than meets the eyes.
The meaty eyes.
So creatively, what would you like to do? And he also plays guitar and sings. Creatively, what would you like to do that you haven't done creatively, that you'd like to have a pop at, like, for argument's sake, a musical on ice?
Yes.
That I'd like to see.
Well, in my imagination, I'd like to do lots of things.